Hey everybody, welcome into our edition of the Roy's Boys podcast, powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony here with you on the eve of the North Carolina basketball season. College basketball got into full swing tonight. Champions Classic going on right now, and MSG as we record the preview for Notre Dame. So college basketball is back. This is, of course, my favorite sport. It's going to be a fun, exciting year for Carolina basketball and for college basketball as a whole, as the winner for the national title is going to be wide open. Figures to be an exciting season, as it always is in college basketball. We're going to start, though, with some breaking news before we get into our in-depth look at the Fighting Irish.
Do we need a sound clip for this? I think we should have, news update. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, there it is.
There it is.
There's your soundbite.
Breaking news.
Carolina landed yet another recruit in what's becoming a loaded 2020 recruiting class for Roy Williams.
We're talking about basketball, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're both doing the same, man.
And Carolina landed four-star, I think he's listed as a small forward, Donovan
He can play
Johnson.
pretty much anywhere from the 4 to the 2 is pretty much what they're telling us.
This is the brother of former Tar Heel Cameron Johnson. For those of you that follow recruiting, we knew this from the moment he took an official visit, that Carolina was going to be in play for him. It was the favorite all along to land his basketball services. Picked Carolina tonight, roughly around 8:30 or so. And there's just, I'm losing words for what this class is looking to look like for Carolina. You've got 4 players committed. You've got 2 4-stars, 2 5-stars. And Carolina, you're bringing in a point guard, you're bringing in a big guy, you're bringing in some help on the wing, and Carolina's going to need help at both of those after this season. And it's telling that the NCAA finally getting off campus was the reason why basketball recruiting was down. And for everyone that said that Roy Williams lost his touch, couldn't relate to the current recruits, well, you were wrong. Because now that you've got the NCAA off your campus looking into your program, you're getting elite talent back into your program. And it doesn't hurt that you brought in guys like Kobe White, who thrived as a freshman, and Nazir Little, who is going to be a good NBA player once he develops. And Cam Johnson was a high pick for the Phoenix Suns, who have been an early surprise in the NBA. So all these guys being successful in college, but also going to the NBA and being successful there, only is going to help you recruiting. And that's what you're getting with all these guys coming, is they know they can come to Carolina. You're going to be in the big stage every night. You're going to play in the best conference. You're going to play in big-time games. But you're also going to perform really well, and they're going to get – Roy Williams is going to get you ready to go to the NBA and prepare and be ready. And so it's been a lot of fun. This feels like the kind of guy that for Carolina that won't be a one and done. And it's something that's going to be important as Roy Williams kind of gets into this kind of recruiting, how we start stacking rosters moving forward. But we trust Roy Williams to get the job done.
Oh, I mean, yeah, at this point, he's that was the one thing that most people were most overly critical about him for in these last, 6 to 8 years, was that he really just wasn't recruiting on the same level that some of the blue blood programs were recruiting at. Now that he's doing that, and now that, just from listening to some of the people that are in the basketball recruiting community, now that he's having just as profound of an impact on these recruiting classes as Kay and Calipari, this guy legitimately is going to build a team that can compete for titles year in and year out. There's no more of this, we're going to need 2 years to kind of get our guys there, and then we're going to be back competing for championships. And before that, we're going to be sat, in that Sweet 16 to round of 32 range. I don't think that's what we're going to be here over the next couple of years. Now, we were talking about this a little bit earlier of trying to balance out having the one and done talent with also having enough experience on the roster. Some people want to do it through the grad transfers. Not really sure if that's how Roy wants to do it. It's going to be interesting to see what he does over the next couple of years. And, to bring in a guy like Puff Johnson, which can, is that, we got to call him that, right?
Yeah, that's his name.
That's his name. Bringing a guy like Puff, which seems like a guy that just on the surface, isn't really going to be ready after next year to go to the NBA. I think that's helpful. I think to have a guy that could stick around for, even if it's 2 or 3 years, doesn't even have to be 4 years. I think that's pretty big. And now, you talked about it, 2 5-stars and 2 4-stars in this class. All of a sudden, I mean, this is slowly looking like one of the best classes in the country. And that's something that we haven't really been able to say for a while in Chapel Hill. We've kind of just been looking at, okay, if we can get, a top 15 to top 10 class, we'll be satisfied. Now, I mean, there's, a chance that you could make an argument that this is going to be the best class for the Tar Heels, in the best class in the country for the Tar Heels in the 2020 class.
Yeah, they're currently ranked second behind Duke in most recruiting services. This is easily the best class Roy Williams has brought in since he brought in the recruiting class of Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, Deion Thompson back in the middle 2000 decades. We all know what that class achieved on the floor for Carolina. And so with that, we'll move on to the stuff on the floor for Carolina basketball. Been a busy last couple of days. They had a scrimmage the other day, and we're going to look at that in this opening tip. And by the way, we don't have I've got to create the opening tip intro kind of thing for you guys.
We have lost some of our old stuff. I think that may have been on my old computer, which is kaput.
Yeah,
it's not done.
It is nowhere to be found, so I've got to recreate that. But in this opening tip, we're going to look back at the scrimmage that Carolina played in last Friday in the Dean E. Smith Center against Winston-Salem State. We all know that Carolina picks an in-state school to come, so Roy can help them out, give them a little bit of money to help with their program. I went back on Sunday and rewatched the scrimmage that was available on ESPN, or watching the Watch ESPN app.
Skirmish?
Yeah, scrimmage. And this game went about as well you'd expect Carolina to play, with as much fluidness is on the roster right now. They won the game handily 96-61. The game was never in doubt for the Tar Heels, but there were certainly things that they've got to improve on. They turned it over, as I can't see with the stat you have pulled up. They turned it over multiple times Friday night.
Jeez.
And struggled.
I see opponents turnovers.
And they struggled scoring the ball sometimes. Okay, they turned it over, the 11 times in the second half. So they 23 times in the game, because I think they turned over 12 times in the first half.
23 total turnovers.
Yeah, so they struggled to take care of the ball. Not unusual for a team in November that's playing its first scrimmage in front of fans.
Not unusual for Carolina teams early in the year over the last couple of seasons. We saw this a year ago with Kobe White as a freshman. So, yeah, it makes sense,
But this is one of those where I'll use a Roy Williams line. More talented, more gifted. Really was a big reason why Carolina won the game. The big thing that came out of the scrimmage, though, was an unfortunate injury to senior guard Brandon Robinson. As we've talked at lengths on this podcast, you're already without Sterling Manley, Jeremiah Francis, Anthony Harris. And B-Rob's going to have a pretty big role in this team. He was going to enter the year probably as a starter, if not the first man off the bench. He is the team's leading three-point shooter from a year ago. As Roy Williams said today in his press conference, was the team's third point guard. And with the lack of depth at the point guard position, this was going to play a factor with him now being on the sidelines. It's unfortunate because it isn't a scrimmage, but he got hurt on a play where he was trying to make a play in transition, so I appreciate the hustle. And that's really the biggest takeaway from the scrimmage. I looked at Cole Anthony and Armando Bacot. Cole Anthony struggled shooting the ball from 0 from 3. And I'm going to say something that's going to be highly unpopular, and I'm probably going to get criticized for this. I haven't yet put this out on Twitter. I know it's a scrimmage, and I know the lack of, or the kind of talent he was playing against. At this time a year ago, Cole Anthony appears to be a little further ahead of the curve than Kobe White was. I'm not overly surprised by that, because Cole Anthony comes in more nationally talked about, number 2 recruit, all these awards, and he's lived up to being just as good as everyone said he was going to be coming in. He scored 11 points, handed out 7 assists, had 5 rebounds. That's a pretty good line for a point guard playing for Roy Williams. So Cole Anthony looks to be the part. Armando Bacot, not going to overreact because this yet was a scrimmage. Don't know if he was going 100%. In my opinion, looked a little sluggish at times, looked a little weak with the ball, but that could just be him just adjusting to the moment that is college basketball that a freshman is going to have, no matter how gifted and talented he is, especially how hard it is to learn how to play for Roy Williams and the kind of system Carolina runs and likes to run. They've been running the same system for basically now almost 60 years since Dean Smith took the job way back in the 60s. So a lot of stuff to work on that they had to clean up. I think it's good that they play these kind of scrimmages. Some schools like to do the 2 closed scrimmages. Carolina opts to do the 1 public, 1 closed, and it allows them to find different things they got to work on. They rebounded the ball very well, 56 rebounds. But again, that's a lot of what to do with the opponent. Roy Williams mentioned today in his presser, he's really worried about the rebounding because you lost so much a year ago. You don't have answers on how you're going to replace that. And so with that, because I know you didn't watch the scrimmage, that's understandable. We're going to go ahead and move into the Notre Dame preview. And we've talked a little bit at times about how Carolina normally you get the first couple games to ease into the season. That's not going to happen this year with you hosting an ACC game to start your year.
Not this year.
And Notre Dame's coming off a pretty bad year, 14-19 a year ago, 3-15 in the ACC. Yet they return all 5 starters, most notably Jack Mooney and TJ Gibbs. Mooney was a guy who averaged a double-double a year ago for the Fighting Irish. Had a monster game for the Irish in Carolina. Had 19 rebounds, which is the most ever by an opponent in the Smith Center.
Yes.
And TJ Gibbs is a very good guard. Averaged 13.4 points a ended around over 3 assists. Really good defensively too on the perimeter. Really going to give Cole Anthony some fits tomorrow night. I feel like, or tonight if you're listening for it right now.
There you go.
I think the thing that helps them the most is they get a guy like Rex Pfluger back.
How is that guy still there? Like. This is reaching like Perry Ellis type level.
Yeah, we were talking the other night, and I was convinced he was gone.
You sent me a message earlier today. You were like, "Yeah,
he's back.
He's still here."
I was getting prepared for the game, writing the preview, which will be available on HeelToughBlog.com. Go check out my in-depth preview for tonight's game against Notre Dame.
Sweet plug.
He's back, and so all 5 starters are back for Notre Dame.
Captain too.
Yeah. So Notre Dame returns back all 5 starters from a year ago. That's going to give them a hand tonight. Looking at the situation with opening against an ACC game, Carolina lost its 5 top scorers from last season, 4 starters. Mm-hmm. You've got 4 guys on the bench. Notre Dame's experience and I guess more importantly their cohesiveness is going to be a big factor in tonight's game.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and they're a veteran group. Look, we know, because Mike Bray was one of the assistants under Coach K. He's not a guy that we like to talk about a lot, but Mike Bray is a really good basketball coach, and that's the thing. Whenever we play them, this has been for really the last 6 or 7 years. They always have that big guy. It used to be Zach August, who was always trouble. Now it's Jack Mooney, and the problem with him is. Last year, I don't think we really knew it until we played him. He has some range on him, too. So he can step out and knock down the outside shot. TJ Gibbs, they're a really good player as well. Pfluger. The thing is this just stacking up. We were talking about it the other day, and we hadn't really, looked into them all that much just yet because, we've been focusing on football season and really focusing on Carolina, when it comes to basketball, what they're going to be, not really what their opponents are going to be. This looks like one of those teams from a few years ago that is a really experienced basketball team and can make noise in the ACC. The problem a year ago, no one could stay healthy on that team. Now, if they can stay healthy, it's going to be trouble. But here's the other thing. We're coming out and we're saying, okay, look, Notre Dame is a veteran team. Notre Dame's really good. We think they're going to be in the tournament. They're also, we're playing an ACC opponent to begin the year, so are they. They're feeling the same way. Their fan base is probably sitting there like, why are we starting with North Carolina? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us. So, I mean, look, I think, it's a tough game to have to come out, and that's what starts your season. But look, I mean, we're watching the Champions Classic right now as we're doing the podcast.